Hi guys, welcome back to another video. So let's have a look at Maple Finance. The reason why I'm covering this token today is because there are some updates that I think those could be really big thing for the Syrup token, and we may actually see a really good surge from the Syrup. So let's break it down. So starting with the big one, they did announce like CWSTD went live on Aave as well as Plasma with an initial cap of 150 million. This was a big one. It happened on October 23rd, I believe. Yes. And after that, the big thing that I was talking about is this one. So basically, they just like had MIP 019, as you can see here. The proposal introduces three new changes aimed at extending token buybacks, basically for the syrup, expanding governance eligibility to syrup, and sunsetting the staking mechanism to ensure long-term sustainability. So these three things could be the reason why I think the syrup could actually see a big surge. And another reason that I think the syrup could actually see a big surge is through their TVL. So if you look at the TVL just hit a new all-time high, so that's really good. And I think this should in theory help syrup to go up as well, but we'll talk about it at the end. But before that, last but not least, we have Arc testnet. So basically this is Arc, a new blockchain from the circle for the stable coins, as you can see here. Or they are saying the economic operating system for the internet is now live in the public testnet, and it went live like around 18 hours ago, as you can see. And if you just like open the announcement article, this is where things get really interesting. So they have these different stablecoin and asset issuers, and if you look here, if you look at this one, this is like enabling developers. So basically, if you go to digital asset markets and liquidity, this is where you will see we have DEXs. They will have like Curve, Dromo Labs, Aerodrome, and Velodrome, Euler Finance, Fluid, and Uniswap Labs. So basically, this is going to be a big one for these tokens if like Arc takes off. And after that, if we look at like centralized exchanges, there is going to be Bitwavo, Bybit, Coinbase, and some others. But if you just go to the borrow and lend section, there is Aave, there is Maple, and Morpho. So these are the three protocols that enable credit and capital efficiency with stablecoins and tokenized assets on Arc. So this I think could be another catalyst that could be a big one for the Maple, and I think this is really good news for the Maple. Again, this is still in the like testnet, but it could be big one, so that is why I'm covering this as well. Anyways, now moving on to their SSF and sunset staking like, or the buyback like proposal. So we have three things here, as you can see. So the first one is that they are activating the Syrup strategic fund. So what this proposes is that 25% of the protocol revenue is allocated to SSF for buybacks and building a diversified balance sheet for all weather conditions, as you can see. So this is big one. So basically they are buying back Syrup from the open market. So again, this should in theory help Syrup to go potentially to a new all-time high. And after that, they are sunsetting Syrup staking. So basically they are proposing to sunset Syrup rewards for ST Syrup holders immediately following the end of the current vesting period, as you can see currently streaming Syrup from September buybacks. So I think that's good overall for the Syrup. After that, they also have like some other things going on. So Syrup and ST Syrup holders will both be able to participate in the future community decisions. So I think that is overall really good for the Syrup. I think all of these updates like do matter, and we could see a slight surge from the Syrup or potentially a new all-time high. So the reason why I think we could actually see a new all-time high from the Syrup is because of this TVL. So if you look here, and if you just look at their revenue, their earnings are like really up there. And if you look at like TVL, so the TVL just keeps going. So it did go down from October 7th and it went as low as like 2 point, I believe 2.61 billion, but as of now it is at 3.16, and I think this is like a big, like I would say big W for the syrup. Now let's talk about its price and where it could be headed next. So as of now, the token has been in the downtrend, I would say, ever since like July 24th, as you can see. And if we can get a breakout above from this trend line, it could be really interesting thing. As you can see here, it did try to break out, but it couldn't. But as of now, it is like in the process of breaking out, or that is what it seems like, at least from my perspective. Again, it may or may not use this pointer, but again, I think if we just consider, let's say if we consider this one, so let's say that if it wants to break out above from this, that is, I think, another acceptable thing. And the token has been in like a pretty good, like I would say, trend ever since like October 22, as you can see here. So as of now, I think it could actually just follow this trend line as it goes on. So we could eventually see a really good breakout when it becomes like here, somewhere around here. But again, the deadline for this buybacks and some other things is on like, or the deadline for this proposal is on November 1st, as you can see. And when the buyback happens, that is where I think the syrup could actually take off. And now if this breaks out, plays out, I think we could be looking at something like this, I would say. So eventually it can go as high as 53 cents or even higher than that if like at least two line up. Overall, I think it's looking good for the syrup. Like even if we look at the fundamentals, I think that we can see from its TVL, and if you look at how they have been like doing in terms of the ecosystem growth, that is good, and how there are some other new blockchains that are upcomer and that have like a pretty high interest on like in the syrup, and I think that could also be another factor that can impact syrup. And also again, we do have these buybacks that will be really big thing for the syrup as well. So overall, I think this everything seems to be lining up for a syrup to make a new all-time high. And again, its all-time high is at like what, 67 cents, and to hit that it just need to like surge over 73%, and I think that is like actually possible, because if you look at its market cap, it is at 440 million, and if you look at its TVL, it is at 3.16 billion. So I think like hitting a new all-time high should not be that much hard for the syrup token, at least from looking at its like TVL as well as its market cap. So overall, I think yeah, possibility of like syrup hitting new all-time high is like actually really high. So the chances are really high. And overall, I think as of now, all of the RW tokens are not doing that much well. So again, if like market or if the alt season like becomes stable, or if we just see like a slight hype for these RW tokens, I think the syrup could be like the biggest winner of them all. Anyways, we'll see when that happens, but as of now, I think we could see a retest somewhere on this trend line. So we could see a retest on like 34 cent, 35 cent, and after that the syrup can go up again. But I think this breakout is something that I'm looking at now. Anyways, thanks for watching. I will be back with more. Thank you.